The Shanghai skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Chen Dante's penthouse office. But he wasn't admiring the view. At 34, he'd built a technology empire worth billions, controlled information that could topple governments, and commanded respect that bordered on fear. Yet tonight, something felt different. A restlessness he couldn't name crawled under his skin as he poured his second glass of bourbon. Mr. Chen, the new housekeeper, has arrived. His assistant, Wei Lin, stood at the door with her usual efficient posture. Chen didn't look up from the financial reports spread across his mahogany desk. You handle all household staff. Why are you telling me this? Wei Lin hesitated, which was unusual for her. Sir, I thought you should know. She's not our typical hire. She came through the international agency you approved last month. And Chen's voice carried an edge of impatience. He had a video conference with his Tokyo partners in 20 minutes. She's Nigerian, 27 years old. Name is Chioma Daniel. Her references are impeccable. She speaks 4 languages, and she has experience working for high-profile clients who require absolute discretion. Wei Lin paused. Given the sensitive nature of what happens in this house, I thought you'd want to approve her personally. Chen finally looked up. In his world, discretion was currency. Fine. Have her start tomorrow. Make sure she understands the rules. Clean thoroughly, speak only when spoken to, and forget everything she sees or hears in this house. Actually, sir, she's already started. You have the charity gala tomorrow night, and the house needs to be perfect. I had her begin with the guest suites on the 2nd floor. Chen waved his hand dismissively. Then let her work. I don't need to meet everyone who polishes my silverware. But fate had different plans. 30 minutes later, Chen left his office to retrieve a contract from his private study. The hallway was dimly lit, and he moved silently out of habit. As he approached the study, he heard something unexpected, soft humming, a melody he didn't recognize but found oddly soothing. He pushed open the door and froze completely. A woman stood on a stepped stool, reaching up to dust the top of his bookshelf. She wore the standard housekeeper's uniform, a tailored black dress with white trim, but nothing about her looked standard. The dress followed curves that seemed designed to test a man's resolve. Her skin was a rich, deep brown that seemed to glow in the lamplight. Her natural hair was pulled into a neat, professional bun, revealing the elegant line of her neck. She stretched higher, and Chen's throat went dry. The movement was unconscious, graceful, completely unself-conscious. She had no idea she was being watched. Then she turned slightly to move the stool, and Chen saw her face. High cheekbones, full lips, and eyes that even from this angle suggested intelligence and depth. When she bent to adjust the stool, the dress tightened across her hips, and something Chen hadn't felt in years shot through him like electricity. Want. Pure, undiluted, consuming want. What are you doing in my private study? His voice came out rougher than intended. Chioma jumped, the duster flying from her hand. She spun around, eyes wide with shock, and nearly lost her balance on the stool. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, sir. Mrs. Wei told me to clean all the rooms on this floor. I didn't realize this was your personal study. I'll leave immediately. She scrambled down from the stool, her hands shaking as she gathered her cleaning supplies. Chen watched every movement like a man who'd been wandering in the desert and suddenly found water. Up close, she was even more striking. Her eyes were large and expressive, currently filled with professional embarrassment. She kept her gaze respectfully lowered, which only made him want to lift her chin and force her to look at him. Your name? He asked, though Wei Lin had already told him. Chioma Daniel, sir. I started today. I apologize for the intrusion. It won't happen again. Her accent was crisp, educated, with the faintest British influence underneath the Nigerian inflection. She backed toward the door, clutching her cleaning caddy like a shield. Everything about her body language screamed professional distance. But Chen noticed the way her pulse jumped in her throat, the slight flush creeping up her neck. Stop, he commanded. She froze instantly, her eyes flickering to his face before dropping again. Chen walked toward her slowly, each step deliberate. How old are you, Chioma? 27, sir. And you're not nervous? Working in a house like this? He stopped just a few feet away, close enough to smell her perfume, something warm and subtle like shea butter and vanilla. Her fingers tightened on the caddy. I need this position, sir. I was told discretion is essential. Whatever business you conduct here is none of my concern. Intelligent answer. Chen tilted his head, studying her. But you didn't answer my question. Are you nervous? For just a moment, her eyes met his. In that brief connection, Chen felt something snap into place, like a lock clicking open. She felt it too. He could see the awareness flare in her gaze before she looked away. Yes, sir. I'm nervous. Good. You should be. He took another step closer. Look at me, Chioma. She raised her eyes slowly, and the impact of her full attention hit him like a physical force. Her eyes were deep brown, almost black, and they held something he hadn't expected, strength. She was afraid, yes, but she wasn't weak. Do you know who I am? He asked quietly. You're Chen Dante, sir. Owner of Dantech Industries. One of the most powerful men in Shanghai. I'm more than that. Chen's voice dropped lower. I'm the man who controls information that could destroy corporations, ruin politicians, make or break fortunes. I'm the man people fear to cross. And I always get what I want. Chioma's breathing quickened, her chest rising and falling rapidly. I understand, sir. Do you? Chen leaned in slightly, watching her pupils dilate. Because right now, Chioma, I want you. The cleaning caddy fell from her hands, supplies scattering across the polished floor. Sir, I can't. This isn't appropriate. I just started working here. Appropriate? A harsh laugh escaped him. I haven't cared about appropriate since I was 15 years old and starving in the streets of Beijing. Appropriate doesn't build empires. Taking what you want builds empires. He reached out, his fingers barely grazing her arm, and even that light touch sent shock waves through both of them. Chioma actually swayed toward him before catching herself. I've never wanted anything as much as I want you right now, Chen said, his voice filled with dark promise. Every curve, every inch of your skin, the way you move, it's driving me insane. This is wrong. Chioma's whisper was shaky. You're my employer. This could destroy my career, my reputation. Or it could give you everything you've ever dreamed of. Chen's hand moved to her waist, pulling her closer. Money, security, protection, pleasure beyond anything you've imagined. All you have to do is say yes. Before Chioma could respond, Chen's phone buzzed insistently on his desk. He ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. With a growl of frustration, he released her and grabbed the phone. The message was from Wei Lin. Urgent. Security breach detected. Your private server was accessed. Need you in the security room now. Chen's expression transformed instantly from desire to cold calculation. He looked back at Chioma, who stood there looking both relieved and strangely disappointed. Go back to your quarters, he told her, his voice ice now. But Chioma, he caught her wrist as she moved past him. This conversation is far from over. One way or another, you will be mine tonight. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. Drop a like if you want to see what happens next. Chioma's heart hammered as she fled down the hallway, her legs trembling so badly she could barely maintain her balance. She burst into the small staff quarters on the 4th floor, slamming the door behind her and pressing her back against it. What am I doing? She whispered to the empty room, her hands shaking as she touched her wrist where Chen's fingers had gripped her. The skin still burned as if he'd branded her. She'd taken this job for one reason only: to get close to Chen Dante and steal the information that could save her twin sister's life. But not like this. Never like this. Chioma walked to the small mirror and stared at her reflection. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes too bright, her lips parted. She looked like a woman who'd been thoroughly affected, and he'd barely touched her. Focus, Chioma, she muttered, splashing cold water on her face. Remember why you're here. Remember Adiz. Her twin sister's face flashed in her mind. 27 years old, brilliant computer programmer, currently lying in a hospital bed in Lagos in a medically induced coma. Adiz had uncovered something while working as a contractor for Danteka's African division. Something about illegal data trafficking and information sales to criminal organizations. She tried to go to the authorities, and 2 days later, her car had been forced off the road. The doctors said it was a miracle she'd survived. But the people who'd hurt her had made it clear. If Chioma didn't deliver the encryption key to Chen's master server within 7 days, Adiz would never wake up. They'd see to that. The Jade Serpents, a rival tech syndicate, had arranged everything. The fake references, the agency recommendation, even Wei Lin's sudden need for a new housekeeper. They wanted Chen's client list, the proof of his illegal operations, and they were willing to kill to get it. But they hadn't warned Chioma about Chen himself. She'd seen his photos, studied his biography, knew he was attractive in that cold, dangerous way powerful men often were. But photos didn't capture the raw magnetism, the commanding presence that made her want to simultaneously run away and move closer. And God help her, when he'd said those words, "You will be mine tonight," her body had responded in ways that terrified her. A sharp knock on her door made her jump. "Miss Daniel." It was Wei Lin's crisp voice. "Mr. Chen requests your presence in his private lounge." Immediately, Chioma's blood ran cold. "Now! But I thought there was a security issue." "It's been handled. Mr. Chen is waiting. Don't make him wait longer." Chioma's mind raced as she walked through the penthouse toward Chen's private lounge. Had he discovered her real purpose? Was this a trap? She touched the small phone hidden in the inner pocket of her dress, her only lifeline to the Jade Serpents. The lounge doors were open. Chen stood by the window, a fresh glass of bourbon in his hand, his back to her. Even angry or stressed, he was magnificent. Tall, broad-shouldered, radiating controlled power. "Close the door," he commanded without turning around. Chioma's hands shook as she obeyed. "Sir, if this is about earlier in the study, take off your apron." "What?" Chen turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "Your apron. Remove it." Chioma's fingers fumbled with the ties. Was he really going to do this? Right now? She let the apron fall to the floor, feeling suddenly vulnerable in just the dress. Chen walked toward her slowly, predatory. "Do you know why I called you here, Chioma?" "No, sir. I have a problem." He stopped inches from her, so close she could smell his cologne mixed with bourbon and something uniquely him. "Someone tried to access my private server tonight. Someone is trying to steal information that could destroy me." Chioma's heart stopped. Did he know? "And when I have a problem," Chen continued, reaching out to trace one finger along her jawline, "I eliminate it. Completely. Ruthlessly. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," she whispered, trying desperately not to show her terror. "But tonight, I have a different problem." His hand moved to her neck, his thumb pressing against her racing pulse. You're all I can think about when I should be hunting for traitors. You're a distraction I cannot afford." "Then let me go," Chioma said breathlessly. "Fire me. I'll leave right now and you'll never see me again." "No." His grip on her neck tightened slightly, possessive but not painful. "I don't let go of things that belong to me. And you, Chioma Daniel, belonged to me the moment Wei Lin hired you for this house." He pulled her closer, his other hand sliding down her back, pressing her body against his. Chioma gasped at the contact, feeling every hard plane of his body against her curves. This was wrong, so wrong, but her treacherous body was responding. "I can feel your heart racing," Chen murmured against her ear, his breath hot on her skin. "You're terrified of me. Smart. But you're also attracted to me. I can feel it in the way you're trembling. Don't deny it." "This is insane," Chioma protested weakly, even as her hands came up to rest against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat, pounding as fast as hers. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." His lips brushed against her neck, and Chioma couldn't suppress the small sound that escaped her. "I know you're intelligent. I know you're here for a reason beyond just cleaning my house. And I know you want this as much as I do." Chioma's eyes flew open. "What do you mean, I'm here for a reason?" Chen pulled back to look at her, his dark eyes blazing with an intensity that stole her breath. "I didn't build an empire by being naive, Chioma. Wei Lin doesn't hire anyone without my background check. I know everything about you." Terror flooded through her. "Then why?" "Because I want to give you a choice." Chen's hand cupped her face, his thumb stroking her cheek. "You can walk out that door right now, pack your things, and leave Shanghai tonight. I'll arrange your flight, give you money, and you'll never hear from me again. Or," Chioma's voice was barely audible, "or you stay. You accept what's happening between us. You stop pretending you don't feel this connection." His eyes bore into hers. "You become mine, Chioma. Completely. Your time, your attention, your body. And in return, I'll give you everything. Protection, pleasure, resources beyond your imagination." Chioma's mind screamed at her to run. But Adi's face flashed before her eyes. Her twin sister, her best friend, lying in that hospital bed. She needed to stay close to Chen. Needed access to his systems. And if this was the price, "I'll stay," she heard herself whisper. Chen's eyes darkened with triumph and hunger. "Say it properly. Tell me you're choosing this." Chioma's throat tightened. The words felt like a contract, like she was signing away something essential. But what choice did she have? "I'm choosing to stay with you." "No." Chen's grip on her face tightened. "Say, I'm yours." The words hung in the air between them, weighted with meaning far beyond their simplicity. Chioma felt tears prick her eyes, but she forced them back. "I'm yours," she whispered. Something in Chen's control shattered. He kissed her with a hunger that consumed all rational thought. His hands roamed over her body, possessive and demanding. Chioma kissed him back helplessly, her body betraying every logical thought in her head. He tasted like bourbon and danger and something that made her dizzy. He lifted her easily, his hands gripping her thighs as he pressed her against the wall. Chioma wrapped her legs around his waist instinctively, and the intensity of the contact made them both groan. His mouth moved to her neck, trailing fire down to her collarbone. "Chen," she gasped, not sure if she was begging him to stop or continue. "Say it again," he demanded against her skin. "Tell me you're mine." "I'm yours," Chioma breathed, and meant it in that moment despite everything. Chen carried her toward the sofa, laying her down and covering her body with his. His weight pressed her into the cushions, and Chioma felt like she was drowning in sensation. His hands pushed up her dress, sliding along her thighs, and she knew they were seconds from a point of no return. Suddenly, the lounge doors burst open with a bang. "Boss, we have an emergency." A man in a dark suit rushed in, then froze at the scene before him. His eyes widened in shock. Chen didn't move away from Chioma immediately. He turned his head slowly, his hands still possessively gripping her thigh, his body still pressed against hers. When he spoke, his voice was deadly calm. "This had better be life or death, Zhang." Zhang's face was pale with tension. "The Jade Serpents just sent a message. They claim they have an operative inside your organization. They're demanding you surrender your client database and master encryption key by midnight tomorrow, or they'll activate their spy and destroy everything from the inside." Chen's entire body went rigid. His hand on Chioma's thigh tightened almost painfully. "A spy in my organization?" "Yes, sir. They said." Zhang's eyes flickered to Chioma nervously. "They said she arrived today." The world seemed to stop spinning. Chen's head turned slowly toward Chioma, and she watched the desire in his eyes transform into something cold and calculating. His gaze swept over her face, reading her expression with the precision of a man who'd survived by understanding people's lies. In the terrible silence, Chioma's hidden phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound was muffled by her dress, but in the dead quiet of the room, it might as well have been a siren. Chen's hand moved with lightning speed, reaching into the inner pocket of her dress and pulling out the phone. He looked at the screen, his jaw clenching as he read the messages. "Status update? Did you locate the server room? Time is running out for your sister." When Chen looked back at Chioma, there was nothing warm in his eyes anymore. Only ice-cold fury and something that looked almost like betrayal. "Well," he said quietly, his voice more terrifying for its softness. "This is disappointing." Chioma's tears started falling then, hot and shameful. "Chen, please let me explain." "Explain what?" He stood up, backing away from her as if she were poisonous. "Explain how you played me perfectly? Explain how every word, every look, every touch was a lie." "It wasn't all a lie." Chioma scrambled to sit up, desperation clawing at her throat. "My sister, they have my sister. She's dying and they said they'd kill her if I didn't." "Get out." Chen's voice was flat, emotionless, which was somehow worse than anger. "Please just listen." "I said get out." Chen's roar made both Chioma and Zhang flinch. "Before I forget that I don't hurt women and make an exception." Chioma stood on shaking legs, tears streaming down her face. "They'll kill her. They'll kill Adiz if I don't give them what they want. Please, you have to understand." "Zhang, escort Miss Daniel to her quarters. Lock the door from the outside. I'll decide what to do with her in the morning." Chen turned away, his shoulders rigid with tension. "And someone find out everything about this sister. I want to know if that's even real or just another manipulation." As Zhang gripped Chioma's arm to lead her away, she took one last desperate look at Chen's back. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what it's worth, Chen, that kiss, that was real." Chen didn't respond. Didn't even turn around. Zhang led Chioma down the hallway, his grip firm but not cruel. When they reached her quarters, he pushed her inside and she heard the lock click from the outside. She was a prisoner. Chioma collapsed on the narrow bed, sobbing into her hands. Everything had fallen apart. She'd failed Adiz. Failed herself. And worst of all, she'd hurt someone who'd actually started to matter to her. Her phone buzzed again, another message from the Jade Serpents. "We know you've been compromised. Unfortunate. We'll handle Chen Dante ourselves now. Your sister's life support will be disconnected at dawn. Thank you for your service." Chioma's blood turned to ice. They were going to kill Adiz. And probably her too. A soft sound made her look up. Someone was unlocking her door from the outside. Chen stepped into the room, and Chioma's breath caught. His expression was unreadable, controlled, dangerous. "Is your sister real?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Chioma whispered. "Adiz. My twin. She's in Lagos General Hospital, in a coma. She found something while working for your company, something about illegal data sales. They ran her off the road and told me if I didn't steal your encryption key, they'd finish the job." Chen studied her face for a long moment. "Show me proof." Chioma pulled up photos on her phone with trembling hands. Adiz in the hospital, connected to machines. Medical records. The police report about the accident. Her hands, identical to Chioma's own, but lifeless. Chen's expression didn't soften, but something flickered in his eyes. "The Jade Serpents are planning to kill you both anyway. I just intercepted their communications. They were never going to let you live." "I know," Chioma said brokenly. "I just saw their message. I failed everyone." "Maybe not." Chen pulled out his own phone. "Your sister found evidence of illegal activity in my company. She was right. My former partner, Li Wei, has been using Dantec as a front for data trafficking. I've been investigating him for months, gathering evidence. But he's been 3 steps ahead of me the entire time." Chioma looked up, hope flaring painfully in her chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Li Wei works with the Jade Serpents. They're the buyers for the stolen data. And tomorrow night, they're hosting a private auction to sell information that will destroy hundreds of lives." Chen's eyes locked with hers. "Including your sister's medical records, her personal information, everything. They're packaging her as a cautionary tale to scare other potential whistleblowers." "No," Chioma whispered in horror. "Yes, but there's a chance to stop them. If you're willing to trust me one more time." Chen held out his hand. "Help me take down Li Wei and the Jade Serpents. Help me save your sister and expose the truth. And maybe," his voice softened almost imperceptibly, "maybe we can find out if what happened between us tonight was real or just a beautiful lie." Chioma stared at his outstretched hand, her heart pounding. Could she trust him? Did she have any choice? She placed her hand in his and felt his fingers close around hers with surprising gentleness. "Tell me the plan," she said. Chen pulled her to her feet, his eyes burning with intensity. "The auction is tomorrow night at Li Wei's private estate. I can get you in as my companion. But once we're inside, things will get dangerous. Are you ready for that?" "For my sister?" Chioma's voice was steady now, determined. "I'm ready for anything." Chen's thumb stroked across her knuckles, an unconscious gesture that made her breath catch. "Then we have 24 hours to prepare. And Chioma," he leaned closer, his voice dropping, "when this is over, we're going to finish what we started tonight. But next time, there will be no lies between us." Before Chioma could respond, Chen's phone rang. He answered it, his expression darkening with each passing second. "I understand. Keep her alive until I get there." He ended the call and looked at Chioma with grim eyes. "The Jade Serpents just moved up their timeline. They're disconnecting your sister's life support in 3 hours, not at dawn. They know I'm involved now." Chioma felt the room spin. 3 hours? That's not enough time to. It has to be enough. Chen was already moving, pulling her toward the door. "We're going to Lagos. Now. My jet is fueled and ready. But what about the auction? The evidence? Forget the evidence. Forget the plan." Chen's voice was fierce. "We save your sister first. The rest comes after." They ran through the penthouse, Chen barking orders into his phone. Within minutes, they were in his private elevator, descending to the underground garage. As the elevator dropped, Chioma felt Chen's hand find hers in the darkness. She squeezed back, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt something like hope. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. "After everything I did?" Chen was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a vulnerability she hadn't heard before. "Because I know what it's like to have someone you love threatened. And because when you said that kiss was real, I believe you. God help me, Chioma, but I believe you." The elevator doors opened to reveal Chen's garage, filled with luxury cars. But they ran straight to a black SUV, climbing inside as Chen's driver took off at high speed. 3 hours to get to the airport, 8 hours flight time to Lagos, 30 minutes to the hospital, Chen calculated grimly. "We're cutting it close." "They'll have guards at the hospital," Chioma said, her mind racing. "The Jade Serpents will expect us. Let them expect us." Chen's smile was sharp and dangerous. They don't know who they're dealing with. As the SUV raced through Shanghai's neon-lit streets, Chioma's phone buzzed one last time. Another message from the Jade Serpents. We know you're running. It won't matter. Your sister dies in 3 hours, and then we're coming for both of you. There's nowhere you can hide. Chen read the message over her shoulder. His arm came around her, pulling her close. They're wrong, he said firmly. I'll protect you. Both of you. I promise. Chioma looked up at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd threatened her, wanted her, been betrayed by her, and was now risking everything to save her sister. Why should I believe you? Chen's eyes met hers, and in them she saw something raw and real. Because when I said you were mine, Chioma, I meant it. And I protect what's mine. Always. The SUV screeched around a corner, tires screaming, as they raced toward the airport and an uncertain future. What will happen when they reach Lagos? Will they save Adiz in time? And what deadly surprise do the Jade Serpents have waiting for them? Subscribe now and hit that notification bell to find out what happens in Part 2. Comment below if you think Chen and Chioma can save her sister. And don't forget to like this video if you're hooked on this story. Behind them, unnoticed, a black motorcycle began to follow at a distance, its rider speaking quietly into a phone. They're heading to the airport, just as you predicted. Should I eliminate them now? A cold voice answered. No. Let them go to Lagos. Let them think they have a chance. It will make their deaths so much sweeter. The rider smiled beneath the dark helmet and continued to follow as Chen and Chioma raced toward a trap they couldn't see coming.